For most of human history, the dead have been silent. Bones can tell us how tall someone was. Tools can tell us how they lived. But their thoughts, their fears, their place in our story, those were supposed to be lost forever. Until now, scientists have recovered the oldest human DNA ever sequenced, not from legend, not from myth, but from real people who lived more than 45,000 years ago. And what that DNA revealed was not comforting. These were among the first modern humans to enter Europe, pioneers who crossed into a frozen, hostile continent at the edge of survival. They hunted, adapted, and endured conditions that would erase entire communities in a single winter. And yet, they left no descendants. Their bloodlines ended completely. Modern humans are not descended from them. For decades, we assumed Europe was settled once, that the first arrivals became the ancestors of everyone who came later. The genetics say otherwise. They describe a very different past, a past where entire populations survived and then vanished. No names, no languages, no cultures that lived on, just fragments of bone, and now, finally, a molecular record of lives that were never meant to be heard again. This discovery doesn't just rewrite European prehistory. It forces us to confront a darker truth about our species. Survival was never guaranteed. Progress was never linear, and many human stories ended long before ours began. For a long time, scientists believed there was a hard limit to how far back human DNA could be recovered. Genetic material is fragile. Heat breaks it down. Moisture destroys it. Time fragments it into pieces too small to read. Beyond a certain age, DNA was thought to be irretrievable, erased by chemistry itself. That assumption held for decades. Then, researchers began looking in a different place. Instead of focusing on large bones exposed to air and soil, they turned to the densest structures in the human body, teeth. Specifically, the inner layers of ancient teeth sealed away like vaults beneath layers of enamel. These inner chambers preserve biological material far longer than any other part of the skeleton. At sites across Europe and Siberia, scientists carefully drilled into teeth that were more than 40,000 years old. What they found inside was not intact DNA, but millions of microscopic fragments shattered and degraded beyond anything traditional genetics could handle. Reading them required reinventing the field. New chemical techniques were developed to separate ancient human DNA from contamination. New computational methods were built to reassemble genetic sequences from fragments no longer than a few dozen molecules. This was not archaeology, it was forensic reconstruction at a molecular scale. Piece by piece, genomes that should not have survived were rebuilt, not partially, but in full. For the first time, scientists were no longer guessing who these early Europeans were. They could read them directly. And what those genomes revealed would challenge everything we thought we knew about early human survival. When scientists finished reconstructing these ancient genomes, they didn't look for names or faces. They looked for patterns, and one pattern stood out immediately. These individuals carried far more Neanderthal DNA than any modern human alive today. Not just a little more, but dramatically more. Long, unbroken segments of Neanderthal genetic code ran through their genomes like intact threads. This was impossible to ignore. In modern humans, Neanderthal DNA appears in short, scattered fragments. Over thousands of generations, recombination breaks those segments apart. The longer the fragments, the closer in time an individual lived to the original interbreeding event. These genomes showed fragments that were still long, which meant these people lived only a few generations after modern humans and Neanderthals first met. Not distant descendants, not echoes of ancient contact, but people born in the aftermath of one of the most significant encounters in human history. This confirmed something scientists had long suspected but never proven directly: that early modern humans entering Europe did not simply replace Neanderthals, they mixed with them. They lived alongside them, and for a time, their bloodlines merged. These individuals were among the very first humans shaped by that encounter, carrying genetic evidence of interbreeding that was still fresh, still visible, still unbroken. The DNA didn't just confirm contact, it revealed how recent it was. And then came the realization that changed the meaning of the entire discovery. Because despite being among the earliest Europeans, despite surviving long enough to leave genetic traces, these people did not pass their DNA on to us. They were not our ancestors. They were something else entirely. The DNA was about to reveal who. When scientists compared these ancient genomes to those of modern humans, they expected to find continuity, some connection, some genetic bridge leading from those early Europeans to us. They found none. The genomes didn't align with modern European populations. They didn't sit at the base of today's family tree. Instead, they branched off and stopped. These people belonged to an early migration wave into Europe that left no living descendants. They arrived first, they survived for generations, and then their lineage ended. This was deeply unsettling. For decades, the dominant idea was simple. Modern humans left Africa, entered Europe, and gradually became the ancestors of today's populations. But the DNA told a different story, one far more fragile. Europe was not settled once, it was attempted. These individuals represented an early experiment in survival, a population that pushed into a frozen continent, adapted, interbred with Neanderthals, and still failed to persist. No gradual blending, no hidden continuity, just disappearance. Their extinction wasn't sudden or dramatic in the archaeological record. There were no clear signs of violence or catastrophe. Instead, they faded quietly, leaving behind tools, bones, and now their genetic code. Which makes the question even more disturbing. If they survived long enough to mix with Neanderthals, if they were technologically capable, if they were biologically modern humans, why didn't they make it? The answer wasn't a single event. It was something far more human. Small population sizes, harsh climate swings, resource competition, isolation. In Ice Age Europe, survival required numbers, connectivity, and resilience. A single bad season could erase generations. A failed migration route could cut off an entire group. These people weren't weak, they were vulnerable, and their disappearance revealed something profound about our own existence. We are not the result of the first attempt. We are the result of the attempt that survived. And that realization changed how scientists understood human history forever. Once the idea of a lost lineage became clear, Scientists were forced to rethink everything they thought they knew about how humans spread across the world. Human migration was not a straight line. It was a series of attempts. Europe was entered multiple times by different groups of modern humans. Some arrived, adapted, and vanished. Others came later, following similar paths, but with different outcomes. Instead of a single ancestral thread, human history looks more like a braided river. Paths split, some rejoin, others dry up completely. The early Europeans whose DNA was recovered were one of those dried paths. They were not replaced immediately. There were gaps, periods where parts of Europe may have been sparsely populated or even abandoned entirely as climate conditions shifted. Glacial advances closed corridors, ice sheets reshaped landscapes, animals migrated or disappeared. Each environmental change reset the survival equation. Later human groups entered Europe with advantages the first wave did not have: larger population sizes, broader social networks, improved tools, and possibly more stable cultural knowledge. These factors made the difference between survival and extinction. This explains why modern Europeans do not descend from the earliest arrivals, not because those pioneers failed to adapt, but because adaptation alone was not enough. Survival required continuity. Groups needed to stay connected, to exchange mates, ideas, and resources. Isolation was deadly. Genetic diversity mattered as much as technology. This reframes extinction itself. It wasn't always dramatic. It wasn't always violent. Sometimes it was simply the slow erosion of a population until there was no one left to pass things on. And this pattern wasn't unique to Europe. The genetic record suggests similar waves occurred across Eurasia. Some lineages survived and expanded. Others reached dead ends. Human success, it turns out, was never guaranteed. What we call our ancestors are simply the groups whose paths didn't collapse. And that realization removes the illusion of inevitability. We weren't destined to be here. We're here because one fragile chain of survival held while many others broke. And that makes the final insight from this discovery even more unsettling. Because if entire human populations could disappear without a trace once before, there is nothing in our biology that guarantees it couldn't happen again. The most powerful part of this discovery wasn't just who these people were, it was when they lived in relation to one of the most important events in human history: the meeting between modern humans and Neanderthals. When scientists examined the ancient genomes, they noticed something unusual. These individuals carried unusually long, unbroken segments of Neanderthal DNA, far longer than what exists in people today. This detail mattered. Over generations, DNA is reshuffled. Long genetic segments are slowly broken into smaller pieces as they pass from parent to child. The shorter the segments, the more time has passed since the original mixing. But in these ancient humans, the segments were still large, which meant the interbreeding had happened recently. By measuring the length of these Neanderthal DNA fragments, researchers could estimate how many generations separated these individuals from the original human Neanderthal encounters. The result was astonishing. These people lived only a few hundred generations after the first contact. In evolutionary terms, that is almost nothing. They weren't distant descendants carrying faint echoes of Neanderthal ancestry like we are today. They were living in the immediate aftermath. Their parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents may have known Neanderthals directly. They may have shared hunting grounds, competed for shelter, or even lived side by side for short periods of time. This changes how we imagine that encounter. It wasn't a single moment frozen in the past. It was a messy, prolonged overlap between two human species trying to survive the same brutal environment. And these early Europeans were standing right at the center of it. Their DNA preserves a snapshot of humanity in transition, a moment when two lineages that had been separate for hundreds of thousands of years crossed paths and permanently altered each other. Neanderthals did not vanish immediately. Modern humans did not instantly replace them. For thousands of years, Europe was a shared space, and these ancient genomes are proof. They are the closest genetic witnesses we have to that encounter. But even this proximity did not guarantee survival. Despite being genetically connected to both worlds, modern human and Neanderthal, this population still disappeared. Which brings us to the most sobering realization of all. Genetic mixing did not equal success. Being close to the origin of a powerful evolutionary event did not protect them from extinction. History was still selective, and survival still came down to chance, environment, and connectivity. Here is the part of the story that unsettled scientists the most. When researchers compared these ancient genomes to people alive today, they expected to find continuity, a genetic bridge linking the first Europeans to modern populations. They didn't. These individuals, the woman from Zlati Kun, the people from Ust-Ishim and Bachokiro, were not our ancestors. Their genetic lines did not continue. They belonged to an early wave of modern humans that entered Europe and then vanished completely. This was not a small correction to human history. It was a reversal. For decades, scientists believed the first humans to settle Europe laid the foundation for everyone who came after. But the DNA revealed something far more unsettling. Europe was not inherited. It was resettled, multiple times. These early pioneers survived for generations. They hunted, they adapted, they interbred with Neanderthals. They left tools, fires, and traces of art behind. And then their lineage ended. No descendants, no surviving genetic legacy, no direct connection to us. Their disappearance wasn't dramatic. There was no single catastrophe recorded in the DNA. Instead, it looks like something quieter. Small populations, fragile numbers, harsh climates, and relentless pressure. In Ice Age Europe, survival was not guaranteed by bravery or intelligence alone. It required numbers, stability, and luck. These people had none of those advantages. They were among the first to arrive and among the first to disappear. The most haunting part is this. If scientists had never recovered their DNA, we would never have known they existed at all. Entire human lives, entire cultures erased, not by history, but by time. This discovery forces us to rethink what human history really is. Not a straight line, not a steady march forward, but a fragile experiment repeated again and again. Some groups endured, others vanished, and survival often had less to do with superiority than with timing, environment, and chance. The oldest human DNA ever recovered does more than tell us where we came from. It shows us how close our species has always been to disappearing. We are not the inevitable result of progress. We are the survivors of many failed attempts. People lived full lives tens of thousands of years ago, loving, teaching, creating, and hoping, with no idea their entire genetic future would end with them. And yet, they mattered. Their existence shaped the world that came after, even if their bloodlines did not survive. This is the uncomfortable truth written into our cells. Human history is built on loss as much as survival. Today, we live surrounded by technology, convinced of permanence, but the past tells a different story. Civilizations can fade, populations can vanish, and nothing is guaranteed. The difference now is awareness. We know how fragile systems are. We know how environments change. We know how quickly stability can collapse. The people whose DNA we uncovered never had that knowledge. We do. And that may be the most important inheritance they left us. If this story changed how you see human history, subscribe. Every week, we explore discoveries that reveal who we really are and how close we've always been to the edge. Because the oldest DNA in the world didn't just tell us about the past, it warned us about the future.